Hey everybody! Due to a great deal of interest in my layout for my student lessons, I am going to give you a little bit of a rundown on how I got this working and what my studio looks like. And you can pick and choose. Either you could maybe come up with one fun idea and decide to run with it, or you might like to try it all. But I just thought I'd send it out there in the spirit of generosity and sharing, and hope that this gives you something to think about in these uncertain times. And maybe it's the perfect time to consider spending a little bit of that free time if you're in lockdown or whatever, considering what you might like to do to make your video recordings or your online lessons a little easier, actually. Yes, perhaps more professional, but I have to say it's easier to teach with lots of resources at my fingertips, so I like that. So what I thought I would do is just take you on a little tour of my studio, just to start with, so you can sort of see the whole setup rather than just what my students get here. And by the way, what you're seeing here is my full screen rather than just this little box that my students actually see. And I'll give you an example of what they see in a second. But hey, let's just go and have a look at my studio. So here I am. I'm just going to switch you over to my reverse camera, because it's easier for me then. Oh, okay. There we go. See? Very technologically challenged. Who'd have thunked? All right, so here's my studio. I'm going to get back as far as I can and see if I can do this wobbly thing without you feeling seasick. All right, so a quick look. I have a light source up there that's just got 4 sheets of diffuser fabric. Could be a white sheet, doesn't matter. And behind that I actually have a cooking tin. And around the inside of the cooking tin I've put LED strip lighting. So if you're interested, just let me know and I'll send you a video of where I learnt to do that. So that's a pretty cool, it's nice, it gives a soft light to your face if you're a bit concerned about coming over not quite as beautiful as you look in real life. You can see I've got 2 monitors. You don't need 2 monitors, you can do it with 1, so I'll talk about that a little bit later, but just so that you can see my setup. I do have a mic. Again, it's optional. I use it because it's a better sound than the computer sound, but you can use the computer sound. Whoa, and of course that's an interesting little feature of using my phone. I am using earphones because, again, it's a great idea to clean up the sound, and it means you don't get echoing, bouncing back, especially if you're using piano or you're using music pieces that you're playing, because they tend to ping around a little bit between the microphone. Okay, so if we move around, I've got a digital keyboard. Again, you can use a digital keyboard or you can use your piano. That's fine, whatever works for you, whatever you've got. I also have an overhead cam, and so this is a little Logitech camera. And again, you don't need this. I'll give you a couple of other ideas of how I get this space happening without, I'm sort of a little bit, can't really go back far enough. Whoa, I've really lost the plot. Oh my goodness. Wait, I don't know how to do it. Okay. Anyway, you've probably seen enough, right? Oh, and behind me, I do have a whiteboard, and that's useful if you think it's useful. I'll show you that a little bit later. I'm actually going to get off this phone because I'm getting vertigo just looking at what you're seeing. So let's get out of here. All right, I'm going to disconnect that because we shouldn't need that anymore. All right, so I'm going to just give you a little look in case you didn't see it on previous posts. I'm just going to give you a look at my, sneak peek, that'll do. So I've got a video here on my desktop, and this is a little video that I created earlier in the week, and it's good because it just shows you what my students are seeing. So I don't know if you can Maybe I can make that a little bit bigger so that it doesn't have all the other stuff underneath it, but there you go. So that view there, that frame, is what my students see as I'm teaching them. So I have myself here, what a gorgeous freeze shot, of course. And I don't teach with a glass of wine. This was very late in the evening and I was coaching some teachers. We have the web here. We have a digital keyboard that operates, shows up blue when keys are played, and of course, as I mentioned, my own keyboard there. So I'm just going to close that back out. And so you can see that when I finally record these lessons, I'm actually only recording this here, this space right here going along the top. All of this stuff is all gone, can't see it, all the way down here and up here. So it records this box, and I'm going to tell you how I do that and how I set up what's inside of this box. Now, the really good thing about this setup is it's all pretty much for free. Yay! Because if you're anything like me and most small businesses at the moment, we're struggling. So we don't need to spend a lot, and so I'll just walk through very quickly as fast as I can, give you enough information that then you can go and either research yourself or just, email me or pop a note in our contact us if you have our Inner Musician program. So the thing that I'm using to actually record my videos is called Screencast-O-Matic. It's a free program, or a free software, and it works as a download on either iOS or Windows. So it's compatible whatever system you're on, whatever platform you're on. As a free version, it does everything you need except for one thing. You can only record up to 15 minutes at a time. Now look, that's great if you just want to do kind of project-based recordings for your students, but I need to kind of teach for 20 minutes, so I'm just over that time. When I say I'm only going to teach for 20 minutes, that's how long I'm aiming to keep the lesson time into. So normally I teach for a half hour. Maybe if you teach for 45 minutes, you're going to do a 35-minute recording session, or if you teach for an hour, maybe you do a 50-minute recording session. The reason that I leave those little gaps either side is because I teach back to back all the way through, and so I need time either end just to swap out my assets, which I'll talk to you about in a minute, and get myself cleared, get my space organized for my next session. So honestly, it's I think about $20 Australian per year for the first level upgrade, user pay. The other thing that you need for this setup is a Multicam software download. So again, that's a download. It's free as well, and it is amazing. You can actually pay for a version of this as well, but I'm fairly sure that the free one is awesome. We have paid for it because we have some other applications for it, but yeah. So that's the two things that you have to get this set up at home on your computer. The other thing that I use is something called MuseScore. Now, I've used this for years. All my students that are learning to read and write compositions use this software, and the beauty of this one is that you get this magical keyboard, which I know a lot of you were interested in. You're all going, how do you get the keyboard? So that's pretty cool, and we'll explain that as well. And you can see I've got the program here. I'm just putting it down in here just because that's where I store it when I'm recording my lessons. It's just a really great workflow to have your staff around the edge of your recording screen. I will go into that. Then the beauty of this setup is that you can either use it as a live streaming setup where you can use whatever platform you're using for your streaming, so whether it be Skype or Zoom or whatever you're using to do synchronous teaching. So that means both ends of the teaching scenario are present at the same time. So a teacher is there in real time and a student is there in real time, or a group of students is there in real time. That's called synchronous teaching. It works perfectly because it's Multicam and it just feeds straight into your computer. It's there on your computer screen, so that's what the students see. So if you choose to do it that way, it works really well. I have terrible broadband up here, so I have to choose a different alternative, and so I'm doing live lessons. And so with live lessons, my students upload a recording of their projects, and I have them only record for 3 minutes or so per project so that I can just pull them, keep them all separate. That works for me. And they load them up to a folder that we can both access, or we both share, and then I teach that 20-25 minute lesson by watching them play on my screen. They can see themselves as well, they can see their recording, and I can talk over the top of it so they hear themselves playing or talking, and I'm talking over the top, making comments on their playing. I can pause them, I can rewind them. Can't do that in real life, right? Well, I guess you can actually just say play it again. So it really works very similar to a real life teaching situation. I really love it. I think it's super flexible. So let's just go through a couple of those options for either streaming or doing this asynchronous teaching, which is what I'm doing. So if you want to use Zoom, there's the website for Zoom. It's fantastic. They're offering it free at the moment. There's certainly free levels of that as well, and it's got so much really great stuff in it. So for me, stability, that's what I teach when I do synchronous teaching. I use Zoom. For me, as I said, I have this asynchronous, so I use OneDrive, but you can use Dropbox, you can use any of those services that allow you to have individual folders to share independently, because you don't want your whole studio seeing all of your teaching. So you can see there's a few of my students in here, and a few of them are in their groups. Now, as far as other equipment that I have purchased, if you want to go that next little level, which I think is worth doing, I really do. First of all, you would have seen my telescopic boom. And so this is just a microphone stand, and it looks like this. And honestly, for $22, including post, oh no, that says 3 additional postage, so 25 Australian bucks, you can get one of these, get it set up. It's so worthwhile, and you can use it. There are so many ways you can use it. You can also use it for your lights or for microphones, or lots of different things. So I'd recommend every studio have one of these hanging around. You'll always find a use for it. And then to also invest in something like this. So there's so many different versions, but I kind of looked at this one and went, oh my goodness, $5. Ah, that's good. Might even buy a couple of these just as an extra. But I have my webcam mounted up here that you saw before. But if you don't want to buy a webcam, and actually they're really hard to find now because everyone's buying them, use your iPhone or your iPad and just grab one of these kind of clips. Like they're everywhere. This is just one example I quickly found. And use that as your overhead camera, and then use your FaceTime camera on your computer as your main teaching interface. So that works and hardly costs anything. For your students on their end, because you have to be able to equip them as well, they can have mum just hold the phone, their mobile phone or their iPad or whatever it is, and just, hold it there, and you can do that super easy. Or if some of your students want to kind of invest a little bit, especially if they don't have somebody there at home that can hold the phone for them, again, $15 here. But there's heaps of these on the market, and they are great because they can be used for all sorts of purposes, and you don't have to sit there trying to get a book stand and the right number of books and this doddery leaning tower of books that I think often looks a little bit scary. These go really high, and this particular one has one of those device snap holders that just hold the phone or the iPad, so it's a bargain, it really is. It's got everything you need. Okay, that was probably enough, you've probably seen enough. Yeah, so that sort of takes you through the hardware and the software side of things. So the next thing that's probably good to talk about is the workflow, I think. I think that's probably a good place. So what you can see here is some funny dots, right? These are just me tearing up little bits of pink paper. I'm going to tell you why I do this. Maybe I'll start here with the overhead cam and the Muse score. So you can see my Muse score here. So this is sort of what it looks like when you open it up. I'll just open it as a little box. And there's your score, your empty score. The kids can put their title in, their composer name, blah, blah, blah. They work very similar to most other things, but oh my goodness, it's such an easy interface. You just notate here and you grab one of these, you know, values, note values, and you chuck it in. Okay, easy peasy, very easy. But what I do love about this is that you can actually select, actually you're seeing my whole screen, so I might as well show you. If you go into view, you can select the piano keyboard here. So I love that so much because it's just another little professional way that we can look after our students. And so then the keyboard has to be a MIDI keyboard. So you've got your MIDI in that out and you just stick it into your computer, USB port, and that means that every time you play a note, it plays. Okay, so it's super easy. Now that was actually the MIDI sound on board, which is pretty terrible. And by the way, you can't get your sustain pedal to work with the onboard MIDI. So I just turned my keyboard up and now I've got a beautiful sound of a digital piano that's being picked up by my microphone. By the way, microphone is also an optional extra. I just have an Audio Technica mic here just because I want really nice clean sound. It's a little bit better than the sound of using your onboard microphone. But these are all added extras and you can just go in and choose them. Okay. So, workflow. The Screen-O-Matic allows you to choose what size video you want. And so you can choose just to get a tiny little screen and it's just a tiny pokey thing. Or, as I do, I get the 1080 screen, which is about, as I said, which is exactly this much. So it fits in perfectly there. Or you can go full screen. Now, I'm not going to go full screen when I teach my students because I like all the real estate around my recording space to be free for me to put all my assets around. It works so well. And you can see I've got a tripod, the tripod's setup video that I was going to show you if you wanted to see it, but I don't think we need to do that. My sneak peek, I've got, a few different assets here of recordings. One thing I didn't grab, which probably would have been useful, but anyway, I should have just grabbed off my OneDrive, one of my students' recordings that they've put up there, and then I could just put it on there and I could demo a little lesson. But I think actually what I might do is just get permission from one of my students and I'll upload a lesson video of me actually doing a 20-minute lesson, maybe with a group. That would be cool if that's helpful. I'm happy to do that. So you'll be able to see what it looks like in an actual session. But back to these pink dots. So I've got my MIDI keyboard and you activate the little keyboard that goes over the top by simply clicking on the Muse score. As soon as you click away from it, then the keyboard disappears, but that's cool. We can come back here. So anything you want to appear, you just have to click and it's kind of like builds the layers. But to set your camera up, that's really the only hassle. I just touched the camera, so that's the only hassle about this. And it takes a little while to get your keyboard straight to start with and to get your phone so that it's not tilted either way, or you'll get a diminishing keyboard down here that goes really narrow and a really fat end there. So that's one thing, you have to kind of eyeball that and then look at your keyboard and make sure that they're both the same, you know, width apart as they progress, because you know, as piano teachers, we want to use pretty much the whole keyboard. We're not interested in just using 2 octaves. And so then what you do is once you've got it set up, you just go in here. Now, as I said, I put dots on it because I just like to do it really quickly. So I know C4 is middle C, so I just put my little pink dot there to say, oh great, that's the one I've got to line up, because after you do it a little while, your eyes sort of go a bit cuckoo. And then, you know, you've got your high C, low C, and your your treble and your bass and your outer Cs. It's just really easy to just quickly line them up, and then I just check them and just make sure that they're playing all the right notes and that they're lined up and that I can see them. So that's what the dots are, and then the dots come off. And yeah, that's the only fiddly bit. It's the biggest fiddly bit of doing this. Okay, let's keep going around the room. I think that's the best way to do it. So I've also got in the back here my whiteboard, just because I think sometimes it's handy to be able to just scribble things, but I don't use it very much, and in fact most of the time I don't have this here. I just roll it backwards, and then I've got my lovely studio setting behind, which I love, and I want to, you know, keep the studio that the students are used to coming to. I like to have that in view, so I have my clav and my TV and my, you know, our monitor for our big movies and our beautiful grand piano behind me. But I thought I'd pull this up because, especially for my very young students, where I'm asking them, how does the music make you feel? You know, I can literally say, when you've played this, when I played this and I listened to the music, this is how it made me feel. Now, I wonder if it's the same for you. Maybe you get all happy and dancy when you hear this music, or maybe one of the other emojis is the one that you would choose. And so my students all have a little kit that I've just done for them that has all the emojis, and on their recording when they upload them, they'll listen to the music and they say, oh, Mrs. Kennedy, this is the one that I chose for my song. It made me feel dizzy, right? So maybe your chromatic song of joy, that's what that one was. I've got my rhythm pizzas, so for those of you who've got our Score a Story program, you know all about our rhythm pizza, and also our writing ideas. But this is pretty cool too, so if you've got one of these keyboards, and if you don't, just, you know, get one. There's lots online where you can just print out the artwork. I actually sent it out to a printer and got them to print and laminate them. It was the easiest way to do it. But this way you can, you know, push to come to shove. If you don't have an overhead keyboard, you could use that idea. This is far, far better. But it's an idea if you want to do that and you don't even have a overhead camera. But hopefully you get an overhead camera because they're really, really cool. And then, of course, I've got 2 surfaces, so I can also draw notes up here. And I've also got our note to keyboard map, which I can just grab in an instant, and I can pop that up as well, so you know they've got access to that, and I can talk about, oh, you know, this is middle C, and you can see how it lines up here, and it gives them a direct reference to the keyboard as well. So, you know, these are cool features that this kind of setup allows you to have, and you'll have all your own pictures and illustrations and, you know, work pieces that you'll be using. So I love that I can just set that up there, and it gives me another little dimension that I can use, and I can physically draw or whatever. Alrighty, so going around, we've done the keyboard, we've done that keyboard, we've done the blackboard, the whiteboard, the blackboard. You can tell what era I grew up in. So when it comes to workflow, this is the space here that I am changing all the time in any given lesson. So I have our program here, so while I'm teaching I can just say, hey guys, what I want you to do is go home and I want you to play. Now, as you can see, our internet is so terrible. Yeah, it's going to take a little while for things to load. This is why I don't do synchronous teaching. But we can go in here and I can grab any scene. I can say, okay, look, we're on Song of Joy at the moment. And I want you guys to go in and have a look at the coaching videos for chromatic. Now, as I would in any normal lesson, I might say we're going to do the idea of black and white and fingering, but we're not doing hands together this week, okay? So your project is to go and watch the coaching sessions for the black and white and the fingering, and then I want you to go in and have fun with your scene. So you can play it with the music, with the story. You can listen to the music with the story, or you can listen to the music with the movie. Tell me how it makes you feel. I want to hear that on the video that you send back to me. And then I want you to play it. But of course you can play it with the story, with the sound effects, or you can play it with the movie with the sound effects. If you're feeling like you want extra inspiration, what I want you to do is go and have a look at our demo for our story. That's the nice easy demo. So for my young students, I'm going to direct them there. Or you can have a look at our basic demo or our advanced demo if I've got advanced students who, one of the projects might be, I want you to go into the advanced demo. This is all about chromatic. You know what a chromatic scale is. I want you to go in there, listen to the movie with the backing music to get your emotional space prepared, bookmark how you feel, and then I want you to go into our demo and I would like you to analyze it. So I might say to them, let's watch it together. So that might be something that we do. And I love it because it comes up right there in the screen, if it was quick enough. Internet. I've actually got my phone here sitting at my desk, but if I take it to the window, I get a much better signal. So this happens nice and quickly for me. So I'll watch it with my student right there in the lesson, and I'll talk over the top of this demonstration of somebody playing to the movie, and I'll pause it and I'll go, did you see what happened there? Okay, so I want you to take note of what the left hand's doing in particular in this week's lesson, because we need to get your left hand, getting some ideas and getting some funky little moves there for your left hand. And I want you to implement it in your recording that you're going to do of your improvisation this week. Maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe we'll have so many other projects and I have got 30 seconds left to give them a quick project. I'll just go, hey, I want you to go into Song of Joy, go to the movie, have a look at the demo. It's all about the chromatic motif. I want 3 observations. So when you send me back your video, I want you to tell me, using musical terminology, key theoretical concepts, what are the new things that you observed. And then when you do your demonstration for me, I want you to incorporate one or more of those observations. So, that's a really quick project. It'll take them a whole week, but the actual setting of that project happened really quickly. So with our advanced students, this is just a gold mine of improvisational creative projects to just use on every lesson. Just get them improvising. And then the next time that we get together, so either via video or here live in my studio, we just celebrate what they were able to creatively play with the movies. So then that's me giving a lesson. Now then the students upload their piece that they've recorded during the week, and I then use this space to be that video. So what have I got here? Let's say this is a student video. Look, this is actually just one of my tests. Now this is me being very unpretentious and just going, you know what, you just get what you get, because I don't have a student video to show you here. But let's say this was a student video. She's gorgeous, right? Sorry. This is where I put their video. So, and they don't have this set up, by the way. It's just them saying, hi, Mrs. Kennedy, much like this section of the TV screen here. And I'll push play, which I'm not going to do because I actually don't know what's under here. It's me probably pulling rather frustrated faces at, what's happening in the world today. And And so I'll play them, and you can hear that I'm talking over the top of them. So that totally works. I love it. As far as headphones go, that's probably a good thing to just wind up with. We've got potentially lots of sound all merging together, and that can cause problems on just a regular video recording, but more so on something like a streaming platform like Zoom. What happens is that sound starts bouncing everywhere, and either your mic on the computer or your special U-Butte mic can't even cope with that many sounds going in and being recorded at the same time. So what I do is I have headphones, and these are really great ones, so I can just pop them back and thread this down the back of my shirt, which I normally do, but I thought, oh, well, you probably benefit from seeing it here. I have this plugged into my computer. As I said, I have got the sound of my piano playing out of the speakers because I don't like the MIDI sound that comes out of the computer, because it's a very tacky little MIDI keyboard sound, and that's never beautiful. And the pedal doesn't activate when you use MuseScore MIDI. So that's, I certainly wouldn't want to have that. And you've got this beautiful, rich piano experience that you can talk over, because now your microphone is picking up your voice and one other element, and that's a piano. Because we use backing tracks all the time in our studio, we've got this other element, and because they're so rich and orchestral, and the movies that we've created have sound effects as well, so might have a stormy symphony, and there's all this thunder and lightning and rain, plus the music, plus a keyboard, plus me talking potentially. You can imagine it becomes, well, a thunderstorm of sound. So I have the sound coming out of the computer coming into my headphones. So that's all I'm hearing, is just the sounds that are on board. So if I was to play a movie, then that's the sound that you would hear. Let's actually just get one loading up. So I'm thinking, let's go and have a look at another scene, why not? Let's go and choose another fun one to do, because you've been looking at this for a while. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have. Oh dear. Do you know what I should do? I'm just going to go out here a second. I'm going to vacate. I'm going to put my phone at the window. All right. Now, I don't know if that's going to be any better, or whether we should just stop this video now. We're already on 33 minutes, and I don't want to take up too much more of your time. If you've found any of this helpful, that's great. If you've made it to here, oh my goodness, yay you're amazing. That's a little bit better, right? Okay, so let's just even go into Zeppelin. That's where we start, and I think I might do the movie with the sound effects, right? Because that's typical. That's something that I would definitely do. And I'll just down-res this too, because that'll help as well. Let's even just take it right down to there, just to be safe. Okay, so you're now hearing the sound coming from my computer mixed into the Screencast-O-Matic sound system, and you can choose where you want your sound to be coming from. So I've opted, I want onboard sound from my computer so that I get these lovely sound effects. I want the mic, and that way the mic is now picking up my voice and my improv. Whatever I'm going to play. So I could demonstrate fully as if we're in the lesson. So balancing those sounds up, and I don't know if I've got the perfect balance here right now, but balancing those sounds up between how loud my computer's playing and how loud I've set my microphone up. There's just another bit of tweaking, similar to, getting your keyboard space happening here with the, getting them all lined up. So those two things are a little bit of a fiddle, but, if you've got some time to invest in this, this looks fantastic. And I love using it. I'm really finally enjoying this online space because I don't feel like I'm just sitting there, you know, trying to not have the resources that I normally have in a very creative studio that I run. So I'm hoping you found this fun and that it's been informative. And as I said, take what you like and leave what you don't care for. It's just putting it out there and trying to be helpful in this new space that a lot of us are in, and just showing you what I've experimented with and what I've come up with, so that you can save yourself some of that time that I've put into doing this. All right, Scoots Cadet, have a safe week. Enjoy this season. Make the most of it. Find the good things, for example. Maybe some extra time around. Okay. Love you guys. See ya.